You want me to talk about like my page and like my
Sure, yeah.
blog
I
and stuff?
I I just clicked the record button. So,
Okay.
welcome Maria to the Art of Human podcast. That's your
Thanks,
first
Christian.
name, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
your
My
last
first
name's
name is Maria.
Veronica?
No, so my first name's Maria, last name is Caramadre, but Veronica is my confirmation name. And it's a
Huh.
name that, cause yeah, so I'm Catholic, so I made my confirmation, and like with that, you have to choose a saint's name. And I'm just like, I'm not like super, super religious, but I was definitely brought up Catholic and, raised in the church and everything and raised in the faith. And, um, St. Veronica was always a saint that I don't know if I resonated with her, but she was always just super fascinating because she's not mentioned much, but she, she was like the one who like wiped the face of Jesus in the story. And, like while he was carrying the cross up to, um, Calvary, I think that's the name.
See,
And it's just like she's just like one of those people in the Bible that's like portrayed as being like brave and strong and like kind of like going against people when like they're ridiculing her just so that she could help someone. I always thought that was cool. So chose that as my name. And then when I started my blog, I was like, well, I don't want it to just be like Maria's blog. So I decided to use my confirmation name because it's a name that I chose for myself. It's a name that resonates with me. It's a name of the message for myself. And, um, then like tying into my logo, it's an olive branch, and you know, like lend an olive branch. Like I really like living by that. Like just lend an olive branch, help people, and, it's not about you. It's about them. So that's kind of where that's like my backstory for that.
okay, what does the olive branch have to like what's the metaphor behind the olive branch? Because I've never heard of that.
um, just to like, you mean in general or like for me personally?
I guess both.
Okay, so when you hear someone say lend an olive branch, it's supposed to mean like it's supposed to mean it's a peace offering. So like I come in peace, like when you're trying to make amends with someone, like like I come in peace, like trying to lend an olive branch and like be the bigger person, try to
Mm,
help make amends with you, and you know rebuild that bridge, not burn a bridge, um and just kind of move on from there, and to just kind of like swallow your pride, and you know just
mhm.
help, just mend whatever
I
has
got
been
you.
broken.
Forgive, let
Yeah,
go, that kind of thing.
right, exactly. Yeah, forgive, that's exactly the word I was looking for, and I couldn't, so I just kept talking.
And then your version of it?
My version of it is just like, it's just that, it's just something that I like, it's just something that resonates with me. And, I've growing up, I was always told like try to help people as much as you can, like not not to not think about ourselves and like put other people before us in like a destructive way, but it's just like always try to be the bigger person, always try to forgive, like, um burn a bridge. So it's just like kind of along the same lines. And it's something that I've really connected with throughout like my late teen years, and now like my early 20 years, like going into adulthood, where like realizing just, and also just like being in therapy for years on years on years is like, so it's just something that I've learned, like processing through things, and having struggles with people in my life who were either like very close to me, and they could be like top tier people like friends, family, or people who didn't really matter, but like I kind of came into a brush with, and just understanding that like everyone has their own shit they got to deal with, and to just try to be as kind as possible, like let yourself feel the feelings, and you can be upset about something, but always remember that like if someone is lashing out at you, it's always because it's their
Like they're
it's their
projecting
shit that
themselves.
like, right, exactly, like it's their shit that they need to deal with, and if they could have dealt with it better, they would have, but clearly they're not. So always just try to have compassion for people and to just, like it's not about us. It's always about the other person,
Mm-hmm.
Not in a bad way, like it just generally speaking, like it's don't try to think so singularly.
Like don't always put the blame on yourself kind of thing. Like if something
Don't
goes
put the
wrong,
Right, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like don't put the blame on yourself. Obviously, like take accountability for your side, but don't let it fester. Don't like harbor resentment for whatever, and don't also start harboring like guilt and ruminating in that. And then also like don't take on other people's shit.
Yeah.
So it's a really hard lesson to learn, but um it's one that you don't just learn one day and then you stop learning it. There's always a work in progress.
Okay. And then you mentioned that you were doing like therapy for a long time. I don't know how open you are to like discuss about that, but I'm just
Oh
curious,
yeah,
like,
I
is
could.
it like mental therapy? And then if it is, like, how long were you doing it? And like, or I know you said a long time, but like, I guess like if you can just share a little bit of that, because I know I feel like right now mental health is it's a huge thing. It's kind of like something that wasn't talked about as much back in the day because it didn't seem like it was something for real, but obviously nowadays there's a lot more research, and I think it's becoming more a part of the culture to be like take care of your mental health, not just like physical health.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I'm pretty open. If there's ever a topic that I am not comfortable with, like, I guess I'm not going to know it until someone asks it, you know?
Okay.
So ask whatever you want. And then if I really don't want to answer it, then I won't, I'll tell you. But yeah, so I started going when I was 14. I was a freshman in high school and just going through a really tough time. Like, my parents were divorcing. My siblings, I'm the youngest of four. And so, like, one sibling was going off to college, the other two were like moving out, and it was weird. Like, my parents were separating. It was just a really weird time, and I I went to my parents and I was like, "Hey, like I need to go see someone because I'm gonna explode if I don't." And I started to go see someone, and I saw her for about 6 or 7 years, all through high school, and then a few years into college, and she was fantastic, and we had a very good relationship, and she really helped me break through a lot of the struggles that I was going through. But then somewhere around sophomore year of college, we both kind of decided that like we needed to put put the yellow light to that relationship, and just like bring it to a close, because like if you're moving on to other therapists, like that's good. And I had been with her for 6 or 7 years at that point, and she was like, Maria, I love you, but like my work for you is done here. So
Mm.
that was kind of weird, because even though I knew it was time for me to move on to someone else, like it's a breaking up with your therapist is always super weird. It's like worse than an actual breakup sometimes because you
Okay.
go through this, like you go through this relationship with someone who's like literally you go to them because you're at your worst, and they don't judge you. They help you entirely and completely, and it's a really beautiful process to learn about yourself, and
To have someone
just
just listen to you.
right, yeah, 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 and have someone who's super super impartial, just like still care about you. Like they don't know anything about your life except for what you tell them, and yet they
Mm.
still are there to support you and help you grow and help you learn and evolve, like help you evolve. And then that transition was kind of weird. So then sophomore year of college, I stopped seeing someone for a little bit, but then I didn't drop out of school, but I definitely I cut down on a lot of classes. I had a total mental breakdown and lost my job at the time because of it. And I was just not well. And then I started to see someone else, and I started to meet other therapists, and then and it changed, like something in me changed, because I wasn't just like, oh, like I'm upset because my parents are getting divorced. I was like, okay, I'm over that now. Like worked through that. Now, like I'm 20 years old and I have no idea what I'm doing. Like everything, like school is super hard. I can't find a job. Like everything just changed, and I I just like I don't want to say I fell apart, but like for lack of a better word, I fell apart.
Yeah, no, I get it.
So going from starting from that, like shifting to other therapists, like it was really weird because I had this great relationship with my first therapist, which is extremely rare. And then to kick off like right, like like we hit it off immediately. And then to have to find another therapist was just super strange because I was like, well, I don't know these people. And I know I'm older now, but like this is weird. And now I have to explain, like, they don't know what I've been through, like all these
Yeah.
things, you know what I mean? So it's
It's like
just
from
like,
scratch completely.
right, exactly. So it was just super weird. But now I have a good one and I like him. He's super cool. And I also like through um it's also not like as an intense experience anymore because I now know I have a lot of tools that I've learned from my previous years in therapy to work through things on my own and not have to rely on my therapist so much. Or like I pick up the phone and I'll call my dad, who's a huge supporter. You know, I live with my mom and talk to her about things. I'm super close with my siblings and with my aunts and uncles and my cousins, and I have a handful of really great friends that I can count on and call and talk to you. So it's like it's it's definitely been a journey. But definitely taking care, like since once I realized like how therapy had helped me so much, I was like, everyone needs to go to therapy. Every single person needs to go to therapy. Like people are missing out. And I'm just super grateful for to be able to have had the resources to have, like, even though my experience was, you know, like my personal experiences weren't that great and what was happening in my life wasn't fantastic, you know, I was able to have the resources to find people who did help. And I was surrounded by family and friends who cared and who really did, who like really are there for me. So it's, I don't think I would be where I am today if it wasn't for therapy. And having someone tell you, one, figuring out that you need to go to therapy on your own is like amazing. Like once you cross that line, like get over that hump and you're like, okay, like you have that heart to heart with yourself. It's really hard, but it's really good. And having having people there for you to support you through that is everything, you know, like it's just it means the world because then you can see like you start to feel more comfortable like after going to therapy, like you start to feel more comfortable about how to act around the people who around you, you know, like you start to have more open honest conversations about anything and everything. It could be the simplest thing, it could be telling them that you like this certain song and for whatever the reason, like a couple weeks ago, like you weren't able to do that for whatever the reason, you know what I mean? Like it's just
Hmm.
like I don't know.
It's
I
almost
don't know.
like just kind of tackling like one little insecurity at a time. Like just like the
For
little
sure.
baby steps. Cause I feel
Yeah.
like that's kind of like a big thing. Like I've definitely noticed for myself, like I haven't like seen a therapist. I've done that. I did that for a few months in college where I did see a therapist, but I don't know what exact kind of therapist she was, but basically, you know, she would listen to me, whatever I had to
Yeah.
say. But the last year and a half, I haven't technically seen a therapist, but you know, just having conversations with myself, with with friends, just writing in my journal, singing to myself. My brother's a music artist, so I just started like rapping, but like freestyling.
Oh,
So
that's so cool.
sometimes, yeah, so like sometimes, I don't feel like journaling, I'll start freestyling and like, not think about it. So I'm really just kind of saying whatever on my mind or projecting my feelings into words.
Right.
And I can for sure agree with you. Like those little nuances that about yourself that you start demonstrating more, like you start expressing yourself a little bit more.
Hmm.
And I think like recognizing that and just being proud of that is like a big deal.
I'm
Cause
so glad that you said that, Christian, because I was really afraid that I wasn't explaining it well enough.
yeah,
And I'm really glad that you said that because I've had a lot of people ask me, like, oh, well, like if you like you don't go to therapists for the little stuff, like you don't go to therapy for the little stuff. And I was like, you go to therapy for everything. Like it really is baby steps. Like you said, I love that phrase because it is baby steps. You are every little thing counts and you don't realize the progress until something happens and you're like and you react completely differently and the things that used to bother you don't bother you anymore because you're not going to let it bother you and you're just like literally in those experiences like during those times you can I have I myself have had the experience where I'm like okay like this person's mad at me clearly and like yelling at me but I'm not like this is not about me and being able to have that sigh like I almost like sigh to myself like exhale to myself because I'm like wow like I could because not because like oh I didn't do anything wrong and like they're yet getting mad at me for no reason no it's because like okay like I'll let them talk and air out their shit but I'm not going to take that on and all I have to do is just be accountable for my stuff and own it and like tell them like don't be an asshole and be like oh well like that's your stuff that you have to work on like no like that's not what I'm talking about like be accountable and just it's really really relaxing and like it is relaxing because you are in this high like intense situation but then to be able to like kind of like step outside of yourself for a little bit and be like wait a second I can kind of see this happening in slow motion. Like, how can I how can I go about this in a way that's not going to be completely destructive next? You know what I
yeah.
mean?
And
So,
have you ever done this where like someone's upset at you and like you just stay so calm to the point where they like that person even gets more frustrated because like you're not
yeah.
responding the way that they would probably expect?
Right. Yeah, cuz you're not they're trying to get a rise at you and then you get hit with like and you don't even care. Like you're not
yeah.
even and it's like no, I really do care. That's why I'm not screaming back at you
Exactly. Yeah.
because I'm trying to salvage this as much as possible. And it's not that anyone's doing anything wrong. That person's not doing anything wrong either. No one's in the wrong here. It's just a matter of how they're just better ways to go about things that can totally save relationships as opposed to completely destroy them, you
Hmm.
know? So,
Yeah.
and figuring that out is huge. And that's just like, you just feel so good after that.
Yeah. Have you had that like a lot where like what you learned like help you salvage a relationship? Because I can't necessarily relate in that extent just because I feel like it's like I've had friendships in my life, but I've never really had too much intensity like that. If that makes
Yeah.
sense. But at least not like
Yeah.
in close relationships. Like obviously like at work or something
Hmm.
like that, little things like yeah, but not like a big relationship where I feel like, man, I like kind of saved it. Well, you know what? As a matter of fact, with like well, I can't say I salvaged it because I don't think the relationship between me and my brother, I only have one brother, I don't think our
Hmm.
relationship was ever gonna go down the drain. But ever
Hmm.
since I became more understanding of my brother, and not only my brother, actually my mom and my dad, there's
Hmm.
four of us, the relationship has gotten way way better.
Yeah.
So I guess actually, you know what, I could relate.
Yeah. See, and it's like it's stuff like that. Like it doesn't have to be like the like a huge thing. It's just like understanding people better and understanding how their mind works a little bit better and you know like okay like the way they did this might bother me, but that's how they're gonna do it. So don't take that on because
Yeah.
it's not like it's literally nothing against you. It's just how they're living their life and just like how you do something that bothered them. So like instead of like getting into a fight about it or like criticizing it, then you just like not comment on it and like let it go and just like turn the other cheek because it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. And that's something that I've really been working on lately. And I think just because like well, it's not just because, but like the pandemic and like me and my mom do things very differently
You
and
guys
I love her
what?
to death. We do things very differently.
Oh, okay.
And I love the woman to death. Like she's the best mom in the world. But we've gotten into some squabbles and you know, I've just been realizing like it doesn't matter. Like all these things don't matter. Like I would rather like why am I gonna sit there and criticize like how she loads the dishwasher when I could just not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like
So it's like
ju-
things like that that like I don't think I would have been able to like come to terms with if I had it if I'm not in therapy, you know what I mean? Because like
yeah.
you're going to therapy for yourself, but then also to just like accept the world and the people around you for
Hmm.
how it is. So it's like that's amazing if someone can do that.
I wanted to say like if anybody's like listening and like I know you're saying that and you mentioned how like you having the courage to go seek help from a therapist was like really big for you. And I think that is a big deal. Like being able to just reach out for help when you need it, whether it's your friend, you know, your family, a therapist. Do you have any like resources off the top of your head? Like if someone's listening and they're like it would be nice to talk to somebody, but maybe they don't have like the finances. Is there like a
Mm.
free hotline that you can call or like things of that sort that you know about?
I know that there are things like that. And I can definitely find links and like you can post them on this
Description.
video. Yeah, in the description.
Okay.
Because I have not used something. I haven't used a hotline like that, but I know that there are ones out there that are pretty good. And even like, um, oh no, that's a meditation app. That's something different.
That still works, right? It still could
Uh,
help.
yeah, but there are definitely resources out there that I can totally find and send them to you, and you can post them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever just like cuz I have like a like now in this past year and a half cuz I spent so much time on my own and like I
Hmm.
really have taken responsibility for my emotions and you know so if I see myself react in a quote negative way, you know, like by getting angry, being jealous, just being impatient, like something like you said, like your mom
Hmm.
loads the dishwasher, you know, like the inside of your head's just so bugged, like, oh, why can't you do this? Like, you know,
Right.
even moments like that, like I try to understand myself, like, oh, like why is it that I lack patience, right? And
Right.
so I guess I wanted to share some of the things that I just kind of started doing, and then maybe if you had anything like what I'm gonna talk about, then you could
Mm.
share it.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
like for instance, I've had like I'm picturing one moment, and I won't say any names, but there was like a moment where like I was like hanging out with a friend, and like basically I like got kind of upset, but well I was kind of like I was like anxious about what had happened. And basically, I had realized that it wasn't so much what the person had said or done. It was more so that I had somehow valued this person higher than just any other person.
Hmm.
And I'll be frank, it was this girl who I thought was, you know, she was pretty attractive. But
Mm.
then I started putting in my head, I'm like, yo, like I can't be taking something more personal because I think this person's attractive. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And it was
Right.
like, but it was an interesting moment because I'm like, I played it in my mind like if it was just a guy, like just a friend, or like if it was my mom that had done the same thing, or like anybody else, it was like it wouldn't have triggered me in that way, or it wouldn't have made me
Yeah.
feel so like if it had that much significance. Because for
Yeah.
whatever reason, I had not just this particular girl, but just at that point in time, I guess I was putting maybe someone who I found attractive like on a pedestal, kind of,
Yeah.
you know? And then so like what I'll do in those circumstances, that's just like one hypothetical, but I've had plenty of situations where I'm just like, why do I feel like this? And I'll just like whip out my phone, let me just type in like, what's up, Christian? Like, how's it going? Or not how's it going, but I'll be like, I'll basically just start typing in what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling. And
Yeah.
I'll like support myself. I'll be like, yo, like, thank you for being here and like talking with me. And like, I'll legitimately run through it as if it was like a therapy session with somebody else, but it's just
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And it really helps a lot. Like legit, I got a bunch of notes on my phone where it's like that, where I'm just
Me
talking to
too.
myself. I'm just talking to myself.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad that you said that because I've started to do the same thing where like if I'm in a situation where something bothers me, like I'll just go on my notes and like I'll just air it all out and then I'll delete it. Like the
Mm,
wonderful thing about typing on your phone is like you just delete it. It's great.
mm,
And then it's out of sight, out of mind. Like I've got it out of my head. Like I'm no longer angry about this. It's not a big deal. Um, but yeah, no, there were going back to um, like this girl that you liked. I've definitely experienced that where like if I'm dating someone or like trying to date them or like I have a crush on someone and like they say something or like do something that I get annoyed with, I'm like, okay, but if this was a friend, if this was my sister, like if this was my brother, if this was anyone else, this would not have bothered you. And so don't put people on pedestals like that. Like you said, it's like don't hold them in such high regard that like anything that they do is going to piss you off.
mm-hmm.
And because it's just like, just think about like I don't get mad when I get ghosted anymore because I have ghosted people, which is really shitty. I'm not proud of it, but
You
I'm
could
not
understand
mad.
it, maybe.
I
You
can
could understand
understand
it now.
it because it's like, okay, I'm not the person they want to talk to. That's fine. I
Has
have
nothing
plenty
to
of
do
other
with you.
people. Right. It has nothing to do with me. And okay, they could have said something, but they didn't. I've been in that situation where I have been a total coward and have just ghosted on people and I clearly owed them an explanation and it's really shitty and I feel horrible about it. But I'm working really hard to not be that person anymore. And just because I try to work on that doesn't mean that that person is trying to work on that.
Hmm.
So it's just how it is, you know? And if they want to just go ghost, then like, okay, clearly they're not the person for me, you know? Like
Hmm.
it's really not that big of a deal. And I get I get asked like, "Oh, but like don't you want to fight for something?" And it's like, I'm not going to fight for someone's attention. There's a difference between
Yeah.
like being in a relationship with someone and like fighting for it and like doing the things like
Yeah, like
confessing the
me.
love and like all that fun stuff. But if you're just like if it's a few weeks in and you've gone on like one or two dates, it's like, okay, like would I appreciate an explanation? Yes, but also like it's not the end of the world. It's not going to kill me.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm not thinking about a ghost situation with me, but just like basically there was an event where this girl had told me that like we couldn't be friends anymore. And it was kind of
Yeah.
abrupt the way it ended and stuff. And but it's interesting because in all these moments of adversity and these moments where like you feel like shit, like you could definitely learn a fuck ton from it. Like cause
Yeah.
now I'm just like shit, like that event that I'm talking about, like that bothered me for like, you know, like months.
Oh, I'm
But
sure.
now it's like, huh?
Right.
Oh, yeah, but now it's been like 3 months. I mean, not 3 months. It's been like 3 years. No, it's probably been more than that. Yeah, it's been like 3 or 4 years, and like now it's a thing of the past, and I could literally
Right.
like reflect on it, and you know, like I've grown from it. That's basically what I'm
Right.
trying to get at. But
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel when you're legit just right in the fucking in the thing. And
Yeah,
when
when
you're
you're
young
in
as
it.
fuck and you don't even have that much experience to begin with, you know?
It's really hard, and it's weird too because you said that you're 24, right? Okay, so I'm 23, so we're like around the same age, which is cool. And it's really weird because I feel like young 20s now, we have to act like older than ourselves
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
because like the world just expects more at a younger age. Like that's how it is. So it's like but at the same time it's like how are we supposed to learn if we're constantly going and like not reflecting and just moving on to the next person, next job, next class, like next whatever? Like how are we supposed to learn if we're not giving ourselves space to stop and reflect on how we've, like why did this end badly or end at all, and what have I learned from it, and how can I move forward from it, you
Yeah.
know especially with things that have really affected me, um like badly. Like it could have been, I had a really short lived relationship that was it only lasted for like a month, and it was the most toxic thing I've ever been in. Like so toxic, it was awful. And I was just like, I cannot believe, like I was literally talking to my sister about it, and she was like, you need to break up with this person right now because it's only going to get worse. And literally what you have told me is like level 2 toxicity in relationships. Like you need to get out of this, and it's literally only been a month and you
But
guys have already
level
broken up
two,
like 5 times.
level two out of what? Level two out of
I don't
three?
know.
Or I was like,
I don't
level two
know.
sounds kind of low.
I don't know. The way she said it was like, it seemed pretty intense. So I was like, I'm going to guess it's like 2 out of 4.
Okay, okay.
I don't know. But yeah, and then the minute she said that, I like snapped out of it. And then after that, I literally just like took time to just chill and like not date. Like I'm specifically talking about dating right now. It's like I just took the time to just not date, and like I was not in a good headspace after that because of like how fucked that whole situation was. And like you said, like when you're in it, you don't realize how bad something is or how good something is until you're out. So it's just, it's really hard. And like when you don't have that much experience, like we're in our young 20s, like we're not supposed to have, we should not be worried about toxic relationships and like suffocating jobs. And like the thing that we should be worried about is a hard school load, which like sucks, it's hard, but like that's and a job that isn't too demanding. But like I've been in jobs too that just demanded so much, and like I can't do this. And then you get hit with like, oh well, then why did you apply? And it's like, I applied because I applied for the things that you told me I was gonna do, and this isn't what you told me I was gonna do, and I can't
Hmm.
do this thing.
I got
I'm
you.
learning, like I'm trying to give it my all, but like it's really hard to just like no 21-year-old should only have like an afternoon and a day off in the summer after working for like 6 days. Like
Hmm.
that's, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
I
maybe I sound, I don't know, maybe this
no,
sounds like privileged or elitist or
no, no, no,
whatever,
no, no.
but
I
old
know.
school, but like that's how I feel. Like it's, and also like maybe I don't care about stuff enough, like maybe I want too much free time, like I don't know. But like I getting overworked is like a real thing, and getting overworked in any relationship, like a bad friendship, a bad like romantic relationship, like a bad work relationship, oh god, no.
Yeah, I think I know exactly what you're saying, like in the sense that young people are just basically it's like we're in the rat race, you know what I'm saying? Like we're
Yeah,
we're trying to race up this ladder, but the thing is there's no end to the ladder. So you're kind of
right.
just banging your head on the wall. Um but I definitely understand what you're saying, and I think ultimately it comes down, I don't know if you listen to Gary Vee, but it's like the whole concept of having self-awareness. Like,
Hmm.
cause ultimately it's like, who knows? You could be fucking 17 working a fuck ton all summer, but it's because you're so you're so driven to start like your own fucking app, and like you're super into it,
Right.
and like it doesn't even feel like work because you're just so into it, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But for sure, I know because of like observing friends and also myself, the way I kind of was before was like you could also get caught up in this idea that you need to keep like you need to get a 40-hour job, like you need to
Yeah. Got to
move
keep up the
out.
grind.
Yeah, like you need to be on this big old grind, and like you need to like be doing a bunch of things when it's like, dude, there's no rules to what you're supposed to be doing. Like, I mean, like
Right.
what's your ultimate goal? Because it's not gonna like because that's something that's helped me a lot. It's like I created an ultimatum for my whole life, so it's not
Mhm.
about a job, it's not about getting into a relationship, it's not about having like a particular thing. It's just very simple. Like my life is right now, like what, how do I feel right now, and let me move like forward, like taking responsibility for my emotions, being happy, and like just moving in a path that my intuition is guiding me and where I feel like I'm genuinely growing, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
And it's
otherwise there's,
intentional.
huh?
And it's intentional too.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of just like taking a job because it like pays really good and it'll get me out of this situation, but like I don't actually want to do this, like, but just like this is what I was doing now, but I'm doing the same thing for more money at this other job, so I'm just going to take it. But 2 weeks in, like, you're miserable because you're like, wait a minute, I'm doing the exact same thing and I don't want to be doing this, you know? So it's like, I don't know. And then also having a whole year of quarantine. Like, I remember I remember when quarantine started in March and we were like, yeah, like 3 weeks, and it's literally like almost a whole year later.
Yeah.
And things have like opened up and stuff, and it got like, I don't want to say back to normal, but like things were a little less intense in the summer and in the fall. But now it's just like, I just feel like it's stayed the same,
Hmm.
you know, like, and having this time is has been really great to really just like really just to chill. And like, I don't have like a regular job right now. I don't, like, I'm just focusing on school because one, I can't find a job. One, I lost both my jobs because of COVID.
Okay.
Two, I was looking for jobs, but then just couldn't find, like, I wasn't finding anything. And so, like, with this being my last semester, it's just like, you know what, I'm just going to give up and just focus on school because I can. And it's my last semester and I want to finish strong and I don't want to have like o- overbearing responsibilities that I don't need.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate enough to be able to just do school and, you know, like run my, like, I get some freelance jobs here and there, but just be able to like write on my blog and like work on my social media and really focus on my classes and like end with a bang, you know, like go out really strong. And that's great. But like it's just been, this year's been interesting to really just like sit in it and like go through it. Like, I'm going through it right now. Like, things the past month have not been easy for sure with my mental health, but just understanding, like, just I let myself feel shitty, which I don't like to do. I'm a huge advocate for like feeling your feelings, but then like I
Hmm.
don't take my own advice with a lot of stuff. So like I have just been letting myself feel really bad because I don't know why, but like that's how I've been feeling. And I have literally my whole life to fall in love and get a job and you know, like travel the world and make money and do what I want to do and make more friends, meet new people. And you know, like what's happening right now, I need to learn to live intentionally with what's happening right now. And that doesn't mean making huge decisions. What that could mean is just waking up, making pizza bagels, and and
Watching Golden Girl.
yeah, watching Golden Girls. Yeah, like so Yeah.
Dude, like honestly, I know what you're talking about because obviously it's been COVID for a long time. So there, I definitely
Right.
had some moment where, well, because I mean, my whole thing's kind of strange, but basically I ended up moving back to my mom's house, and then at one point, yeah, I didn't have a job, and I was basically just like, okay, I'm just gonna let myself free flow, and I'll eventually like land and make grips, you know. Um, and I was able to get past that storm. There's a point where I felt like, you know, there's those thoughts in my mind, like, damn, like I'm sure like my brother's working, my mom's going to work, like people are doing stuff, and I'm just here waking up at 10, 11. But after months and a lot of self-awareness, like work on self-awareness and just going really deep into my feelings, like the thing I've learned is that everything you want, like it just happens. It's not something that you actually have to try at. Like if you actually love what you're doing at school, like then it's like you're like you don't have to try. Like if you don't feel like going to class all the time, I know this might sound terrible, but like just don't go. Like for me, it's just like just do whatever you want. Like trust your intuition. Cause like, for instance, I just read this book, Greenlight by Matthew McConaughey. And
Okay.
he has one part where like he starts going to film school, and he starts missing a bunch of class, right? But he starts missing class because he starts traveling to like, I think his school's like in, I forget, but he would basically drive out to like Dallas, Texas to do like shoots. You know, he would get little gigs for like commercials and things like that. So he was
Hmm.
missing film school to go get like real life experience in film. And
Right.
then basically his professor, his teacher was like, yo, like you're not showing up to class. What's going on? And then Matthew said, like, hey, me and you both know that the guys in Hollywood don't care if I get straight A's in film school. Like they care to see a product. Like what
Right.
kind of commercial, like what kind of acting have you done? Like what can you show me? And
Right.
so he basically told his professor, he's like, hey, I promise to show up every day for exam day if you just promise to give me a C. Like, you know, like I'll come in, take my test, and if you can just give me a C, because I'm not gonna show up to class. And then like the professor didn't say yes or no, but that's how the conversation ended because for him, I was like, this is what I'm doing.
Right.
And so that's what he ends up doing. Gets to the end of the semester, professor gives him all C's across the board. And
Wow.
he was somebody who would actually study and all that, you know, like he was just,
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but he
That's the thing.
knew
Like
that,
with things like that, like you have to actually do the work.
yeah. But the part
But
that like amazes me about that is like he didn't just say, okay, I'm in film school and like I have to get straight A's, because for him, his heart was telling him, dude, like go out and get the gigs. And like
right.
I feel like back when I was in college, I was more of that type, like that kind of perfectionist type where like I don't know, I'd always try to be doing what the right thing was, quote unquote, like whether it came in
Right.
the classroom or me because I ran cross country and track, like me being a team captain, like I was always doing whatever was quote unquote like the right thing to do, like the professional thing to do. But now I'm realizing I'm like I'm much more of a laid back guy. Like if I were to go back
Right.
to school, I'm not saying I'd be missing all my classes, but if one day something happened and something inspires me more than going to class, like I would do it, you know?
Right.
And I
Right.
think having the audacity to just not stay within the boundaries of whatever it is that you're in, like I think that's super important because like everybody's unique, everybody's got some type of creativity within them. Like I feel like everybody's an artist, and as an artist, like if you give an artist too much like boundaries, they're going to get bored, they're going to get frustrated, like they need to just be able to express themselves, you know?
Right. And I totally did that. Like I'm an art school dropout because I was in school for graphic design for a little bit, and then I had done it all through high school when it's like graphic design saved me in high school. I was in the lab constantly by my senior year. I only had like 4 classes my senior year of high school, and like the rest of the time I was just in the lab. And um and then I did it in college, like my first few years of college. And then once I realized like they're trying to put parameters around something that you can't put parameters around, like it it's so hard to even think, because then I'm like, well, then it stops you from thinking, and it stops you from creating. It stops you from creating because you're thinking too much. Let me reword that. Because you're like, well, I really want to get an A, or
Exactly. Yeah.
like a good, like I shoot for like, I even shoot for like C's because I can study my tail off and like still get a C.
Okay.
So like I'm not a bad student. I just, takes me a little it takes me a little more, like I can't just show up and like automatically get an A. So um like the people who can do that, I'm jealous of them. The people who like barely study and they just pass like with flying colors, I'm like, are you kidding me? But uh yeah, like I just realized like if I'm gonna get through college, I need to change my major and I have to do something that's not as creative, which then led me into PR and advertising because I was like, well, it's still like I know I don't want to be in like a pre-press lab all day, like behind a computer putting logos together for like big corporate companies. I want to be like talking with the clients and working with small businesses and local businesses and um you know like creating those like public relation bridges and things like that and like those client relations. And I love advertising. I love the psychology behind it. I love talking to people. I love creating connections. That's how like you reach out to me and I was like, yes, totally, let's talk. Like um and but I also love designing, so that's why I started my freelance business over the summer because I was like, if I like, I had a few people ask to do like some logos for them and some social media work for them, and I was like, yeah, of course I could do it, but I was like, I'm not making any money. I'm going to make this a business. So um, that was really cool to like be able to help small businesses like rebrand and like and create something for for people who don't know, like they have a vision but they need help to make it come to life. I love doing that for people. So
Mm,
that was coming to peace with the fact that like, okay, I'm not going to have a graphic design degree, but I'm going to have a communications degree and something that I do also like. It's just another segment, it's public relations and advertising, and that's how you come to create the logo. Like you meet with the client, you meet with the person, you figure out what their brand is about, you figure out their mission, you put that into the logo. You that's how you create the brand. And I just realized that like I would be very happy doing that for school and learning about that to get through school and then just designing like crazy on the side, like for
mm.
myself. You
Yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So that's like that was a hard thing to come to terms with, but once I did, I was like, school got so much easier because I realized that I wasn't trying to force something that wasn't going to work, you
Okay.
know? Cuz even though I can design all day long, if I wanted to, like, can be on my computer all day long, like playing on Illustrator or Photoshop or InDesign, like I doing that for school, it wasn't going to get done,
How
So
yeah. How long was that process of like starting to feel like this isn't what you wanted to study and then actually executing on that decision? Like how much time was there in there?
probably a semester. Um but it was just like it felt longer,
Yeah.
but when I think about it, it was just a semester. But yeah.
Okay. Probably felt longer because you were just like super kind of like anxious and like just not feeling well, I'm guessing.
Yeah, for sure. I was exactly, I was not feeling well. Like I was not in a good headspace. Physically, I was sick, like all that entire semester. I was just like I kept going home. It was the only semester I ever lived at school. And I would go home every weekend because I was so sick. I got the flu like 2 weeks in. Oh, it was
Hmm.
so bad. But yeah, I just needed to work through it. And like part of me feels bad that I I feel like I could have avoided that, but you need to go through things in order to figure out what works and what doesn't. So that's my path, and what happened, and here I am now, my last semester of school. Totally nervous because school makes me nervous. But we're gonna crush it and it's gonna be great.
I believe in you. I really think you're gonna do well.
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask you this question. This is something that I pretty much ask everybody who comes on the podcast. If you could like convey a message to the entire human race, the whole world, everybody could understand, like, you know, it's translated, everybody could understand, like, what would be your message for the whole human race today on Wednesday, the 20th, January 2021?
Oof, that's tough. I don't know. Probably I'll take it from Waylon Lewis, who I love. He's great. Be of benefit to people. Try to be of benefit to people. It's not, like we were talking about before, it's not about you. It's about everyone else around you. And just try to do good. Like, don't do well. Like, do good things.
Okay, Maria.
Without any sort of like
not expecting
reciprocity. Right. Yeah. Without expecting anything in return. Like, just try to do good.
Okay. Dude, thank you. Do you mind if we end the podcast now and then we just talk without recording?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
I don't care.
All right. My bad. I was just like nowadays I don't try to like force anything. So once I'm kind of getting tired, like I'll just
that's fine.
So everybody who tuned in, thank you so much. This will be more of a shorter podcast. I don't know how much. Do you know how long we've been recording?
About an hour.
Is it? Oh, okay.
40 minutes.
That's about a good time.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody who tuned in, thank you so much. That was Maria.
Thank you, Christian.
Oh no. All right, let me see.